can't try to find something like purpose. Purpose is dictated to you through experiences. You do find purpose, but you can't try to find it. You have to be available to realize purpose. How do I define success for myself now compared to my beginning? I mean, there's no comparison. Right now, in the beginning of my career, you get an audition, uh, and you work hard to get the audition. Your agent says, "We got this audition for you." And now, I mean, I don't really audition as much. More roles come to me. Also, I'm just in control of more of what I do as a producer, as a person producing, as a person, as a visionary of my own brand. Uh, so it's not really all that comparable. Um, but the beginning is necessary. The beginning is how you take off. So I like how I took off. I took off with Tupac and doing something I was comfortable with, basketball. And then at the same time, I was still literally in school as I made a movie. You know what I'm saying? So I like my beginnings. Now as I am now, I mean, it's different. I could, like back then I could walk down the street, no one would say anything to me. And now I don't have anonymity, and I probably will never have anonymity. And anonymity has a great value. People don't think about that when they become famous or when they want to become famous, but you have to think about the loss of anonymity, in my opinion. If I had to choose someone to portray me in a biopic of me, I would think hard and long about that. And I really like the young actor Yahya Abdul-Mateen. You've seen him in Candyman. I think he was in The Watchmen. Great, great young actors. But there's a lot of great young talent, in my opinion. I really like some of the young actors, but he is a cut above, in my opinion. If I had to name this chapter in my life right now, oh man, it would be called. Let me think about that. Wow. This will sound a little, I don't know, how esoteric or something, but joy chapter. You know, literally, I've smiled that I couldn't remove the smile. I've had I've smiled all day and giggly all day on how people are receiving me at this time in my life, in my career. So yeah, I'm very joyous in my career at the moment, and yeah, joy, 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 joy. The joy chapter. Some of the biggest lessons I've learned in my career across the decades. Uh, the most important thing I believe is to find yourself, to be yourself. Otherwise, you will be shaped by the shape-shifting cultures around you. You must be yourself. And sometimes being yourself makes you leave this profession. I know people who no longer, pursue these things. But you must be yourself. You must be yourself. And you'll find the good and the bad, and the good or the bad of being yourself, in my opinion. And also staying persistent. To me, um, another big thing I learned in this career of mine over the years is to maintain persistence. Don't give up on what you actually are set out. You set yourself out to do. Make sure you stay on your path. Find yourself and stay on your path and see what happens. In my opinion, I've been able to stay on my path and find myself because I look inside myself for what I want to know. I don't really um, get my information from other people. So in other words, as an actor, I don't listen to people tell me anything about it. I do 100% of my own governing of me as an artist. So if I come on a set and you try to tell me how to say the lines and this and that, I'm gonna use the Kevin Durant line. I'm gonna say, you know who I am, right? You know who I am, right? Because you can't really tell me what to do unless you can do it. You know, I'll take it from somebody who can do it, but yeah, not many people are gonna be. I'm not gonna listen to many people tell me what to do, And I think that sustains me in letting me be myself, letting me have my own artistry. You know, you can look at it like, you know, society is like a gallery. These movies are on the wall, right? And TV shows are on the wall at the gallery, and that's the way I kind of see it, like as an art form that I put the movies out. They put the TVs and movie shows out, and once they're out, I'm not in the gallery, like just like the artist isn't in the gallery when the people come and watch the stuff, right? And I honor it that way. So I sort of divorce myself from a project the day it's done. I don't go meditating on, I wonder when it's going to happen with it. You know, I can't wait for it to come out and all that kind of stuff. I try my best to forget about things that I've done so I can get into something else fully, number one. And so I'm not really concerned about it. Like once I finish a project, I might not even see it. I spent 12 hours a day, 4 months. I'm not even gonna see it. I'm not even gonna see it. So, you know, I'll hear about it from fans or from people who have seen it, who are viewers of it. And if they liked it, they liked it. If they didn't, like for instance, Next Day Air. Next Day Air, I watched Ebert critique. And for those who don't know who Ebert is, there's Roger Ebert. It used to be Roger Ebert and Gene Siskel. Roger Ebert and Gene Siskel were the preeminent film critics. They set the standard for film critics, right? And they were from Chicago, right here. Roger Ebert, Gene Siskel, rest in peace. Roger Ebert, I'm not sure what Roger Ebert is doing or his status, but I'm not sure. But Roger Ebert critiqued Next Day Air, a film I did with director Benny Boone, starring me and Mike Epps and Mos Def and Donald Faison and others, Omari Hardwick, there's others. But they critiqued that film. They went through this whole dissertation about how they really didn't like the film. They gave no positive critique of the film at all. But at literally the very end of the movie, the one thing they said they liked was me. And it made me feel like, I can't believe this. I can't believe my career. I can't believe my career. I can't. I wouldn't. I don't know how I feel about being set apart from. I'm not I don't see myself as a scene stiller type actor. I'm not. I just want to tell the story accurately and have fun doing it and make sure we did our best. But I don't see myself as a film, you know, as a scene stealer. Like, but lo and behold, I mean, that's what they said at the very end, the very last thing. The one thing good about this film, they said, was Wood Harris, which is phenomenal. It's just so bizarre, but I have a very surreal career. It's literally 30 years old. I've had people tattoo me all over their bodies and stuff. I'm probably the most tatted actor on other people from different, and it's not me to them, obviously. They don't know me. They might be knowing me now from what we're doing, but they're tattooing Ace on them or, you know, Avon, different characters, you know, big tats too. Like, wow, I can't believe you guys are like. But anyway, the importance in general, the importance of having a proper mindset. And just think about the word mindset. Because remember, words, we spell words, and I don't want to get into that again. But mindset. Whenever you're dealing with the mind, like you have the brain and the mind. The mind is, in my opinion, like the ghost in your body. It's the voice that's talking to you. It's the unnamed you. We all have a name. I go by Wood, you know, and I got a government name and all this and that. But I'm not talking about that person. I'm talking about the voice that you hear that talks to you, right? The ghost in the machine. The body's the machine, right? So your mind controls what you do, controls how you think of yourself. Now, how do you have a good mindset? That's not, no one can impart that on you. You are on a journey. Accept the journey, and now your mindset can come into play, right? But accept your journey. Acceptance of things is very important, you know. Even if a person, say, is going to prison, right? The minute they accept it, something else changes, right? When people are going to prison, they really have to have what? A strong mindset, right? Some of the strongest mindsets are there. Imagine being locked down 23 and 1. I used to have, well, I still have it, my elevator phobia, right? It's getting weaker and weaker. I have a terrible elevator, and just I'm claustrophobic, right? And particularly elevators. So I have anxiety on elevators, right? And my mother lives on the 21st floor. So before I came to Chicago to visit my mother, a terrible amount of anxiety. I still have it, but it's less, and I'll tell you why. And it only happened just before coming here, because I watched a man who had been in solitary confinement for 7 years. So you're in solitary confinement for 7 years, and I can't ride an elevator. You're in solitary confinement. You're locked down 23 and 1. They take these guys out of their cells and basically put them in a human kennel when they have that 1 hour. And they're alone in that 1 hour, and they're handcuffed. And I'm claustrophobic in an elevator. So it really divorced me a little bit from that. It really separated me from that. I feel like whatever happens, happens. Yeah, so I can breathe better now in an elevator. And literally it happened this visit. Because that claustrophobia was starting to grow, and not just be elevators. I would be mindful of like a 5-hour flight encapsulated in this little tube. Because that's how you talk to yourself. It's the words. So my mind is going, man, I'm in a tube in the air. It's just 100 people in this thing. The guy flying, I don't know who. I have no control of this. And even as I speak right now, it builds anxiety to fly. It's the same with an elevator. But I've been stuck in elevators 3 times. The first time for 6 hours in the dark. The second time for 45 minutes. And the third time was about a half an hour. My mindset as a young man, the 6 hours was the easiest time. It was pitch black where you can't even see your hand in front of your face. There was another young lady in the elevator with me. She cried the whole time, so all you heard was scared, right? And oddly enough, I wasn't scared. I don't really know why I wasn't, but it traumatized me, but I wasn't scared in the moment. When I was in college, the power went out in our dorms while I was on the elevator, we were on the elevator, and it was a 6-hour journey, right? The next time was 45 minutes, and I wasn't so scared on the elevator because I was with other people, right? And since I had the experience already, I just wasn't as scared. They had to use the jaws of life to open the elevator, and when they opened it, nothing but a brick wall was there. The elevator plummeted from the 5th floor to in between the basement and the 1st level. So when the fire department came 45 minutes later, they opened it. They couldn't get it open. They opened it with the jaws of life. When they opened it, there was nothing but a brick wall in front with this much space to crawl out of. And this happened in New York. And there's a famous New York story where a woman was decapitated that way. So when the fireman cautioned us, everyone on the elevator knew the story. And he told us, you guys got to crawl out of this, and it's dangerous because the elevator might move, right? We all got out of it, but we all knew the story. I wasn't so scared in that situation. There was 4 people on the elevator, and although the power always goes out on an elevator that's scary, okay? But there was a generator light in there. The third time, which was I spent the least amount of time, was the scariest time. I was alone, the power went out, and the elevator was like the size of a coffin because it was a New York elevator, hotel elevator. And although it was only a 25-minute, 30 minutes, you've never been on an elevator even 1 minute in life. You spend 30 seconds on the elevator. So 25 minutes feels like, what the hell? You don't know what's going on outside. You're hitting all these buttons. It gets hot in there. You start sweating. Anxiety takes over, okay? So that's how I started to harbor my already claustrophobic self, got more claustrophobic with these circumstances. But again, mindset was what we were talking about. And so I control that. I control it more now. You can say to yourself, I'm going to be all right. You don't have to say, I'm not going to be all right. You can just find that out the hard way. You can say every encouraging thing to yourself to employ, the best idea for your mindset in whatever circumstance. So I don't know. I know I went on and on, but that's how I kind of get down with mindset. I think the advice I give to people who are trying to find their purpose is, when you say try, that's the problem. Like, you can't try to find purpose. You make purpose happen. You don't try to have purpose. Like, you make purpose. You endeavor into purpose. You're trying it, then you can't try to find something like purpose. Purpose is dictated to you through experiences. You do find purpose, but you can't try to find it. You have to be available to realize purpose. Like, to me, like, we are endeavoring in something. We can feel the purpose of it, but we didn't try to find it. We just happen to evolve to be the type of guys who can acknowledge the purpose when it's in front of us. So purpose kind of finds you. You know what I'm saying? If you're fortunate enough, your purposes find you. And then if you're available for your purposes, that's another thing. You might not be at the time where your purpose could be knocking on your door, and you might not answer it because you might be off into another thing. You might be trying to find purpose. So purpose, I ain't messing with you. You're trying to find me. Purpose, most people don't find their purpose. But in my opinion, trying to find it is the problem. It's like trying to find love, right? Those are the people at the speed dating thing. Like, they at the speed dating shit. Like, what's your name? My name is Jim. My name is Jill. Oh, shit. Like, oh, no. And you wonder why 100 dates failed. You know what I mean? But you were at the grocery store. You saw the guy. The girl saw him. And he saw her. Y'all didn't say nothing to each other. Then you happen to be at the church sitting next to each other. Wow. How am I seeing you again? Because there was something that happened, but I didn't play on it. But now I'm sitting across from you, and you know that. And now we're in this glowing moment. That's the real shit. Be available. Be available, right? Energetically available. Be an energetically available person. I'm not saying it's easy. It's not easy. But you're hearing me talk about it. And where do you measure with that? Where does one measure with their availability for something not so tangible, not so predictable? I mean, this is fortified thoughts. I'm hearing myself talk about it. These are fortified thoughts that require like some time and stuff like that. I wouldn't, I'm able to like say this due to experience. Like, it's something I know because it happened. You wouldn't know but for when it happened. Like, I sound like some kind of, I'm starting to sound like Five Deadly Venoms or some shit, right? Like that movie, that's one of my favorite movies, Five Deadly Venoms, you know what I'm saying? I sound like a teacher coming out, like, you must sign this other. But really though, really, like, there's a lot of mysticism to being a human. Ignore the mysticism if you want. Like, there's a lot of mystery to who all we are. I don't know. I'm in a room full of people, and y'all all have a catalog. It's a wonderful catalog of good and bad things, of roller coaster. The roller coaster goes up. You pick it's scary too. That's really in kind of the scariest part when it's going up and all this anticipation, and that's life. Then it goes down, and that momentum of going down, it helps the ride happen. Like, the negative things may feel like downers, but some of that is momentous for you. It's supposed to give you, help you, push you. Some of the negative things just push you. You're supposed, in order to continue to go, to have your life's, movement, right? So it's difficult. What I'm saying, it's not easy to allow any of this. It's not easy to just sit back and let purpose find you. Like, I'm not saying you sit back. You just engage in life. You just live. You got a lot of distractions to deal with. Just let purpose just be available. That's all I can say. Be available. There's so much to being like an artist that's different than just being, say, a working actor. For instance, for me, I consider myself, an artist within the acting profession I have. And for instance, like, I did Jimi Hendrix, and I locked myself away for a few months with my good friend Saul Williams didn't have a television. Well, I had a TV, but it didn't work. It only worked to play VHSs, and all I had was stuff that Jimi Hendrix would see, or I didn't listen to contemporary music. I didn't listen to hip hop for 4 to 6 months. So the whole time I shot Jimi Hendrix, I just didn't listen to stuff I liked, but if he liked it, I listened to it, and it made me find like classic rock. Now it's like a lot of shit. Like now I can really dig that kind of stuff. But commitment is the main thing. Like I'm committed to the process. Like I'm committed to finding what I need to find. Like you're searching as an artist. You don't always know. You're not supposed to always know. You think a painter knows exactly the next thing they're gonna do on the canvas? They don't always know. And nor does a jazz player. You can't control everything, and sometimes the off note or the miss note made the song better. So it's about the commitment you have. I was very committed to every role I get. But the Jimi Hendrix thing can really give you an example of it. I locked myself away for 4 months at my boy crib. The crib was like 900 square feet, maybe. Nobody else was there. He had painted murals all over the crib, so his crib was full of murals. The inside the living room was like being inside of a rose, so the walls were all rose colored, and like that's very difficult for me to explain. But Saul Williams is the friend I'm talking about. He's a great artist, and I didn't have contemporary music. I was committed to it. I only looked at what he saw. So that's, to me, the most important thing. Once you know what you want to do, you just kind of stay committed to it as an artist. Yeah, I was truly bugging. Like, even at the time, I got rid of my whole wardrobe. That's funny when I think about it, yeah. And then I had to go try to buy shit that looked like Jimi Hendrix would wear. So I literally was getting, like, blouses and shit, dog. Like, shit was crazy, bro. Wearing shit I never would wear. And then like 2 months after we finished, I thought I was just gonna like that shit. I was like, man, what the fuck? Where my clothes at, yo? I got bell bottoms on. This shit made out of velvet. What is this, velvet? I was like, shit. I was walking around like him and stuff. My posture was completely like, it was just different. But I was committed. And I really learned from that process too. Like, oh shit, you gotta do this all the time. I don't care if I'm Ace from Paid in Full, right? I got to commit to that. And he walk a certain way, talk a certain way. I don't want to be like that, but I'm able to do that for months on end with commitment. So, yeah, so that's kind of what it is, a great commitment to whatever you are putting your passion toward. You want to stay over there and stay persistent and committed to it, like. So you end up going to do the homework, and it's fun to do the homework. Nothing's better than a subject you love enough that the homework is fun to do. You know what I mean? My preparation to be Eric on the show forever is a little different than that. Like I don't have to commit as much because the character's so within me already. Like I did all the homework. I'm kind of it's in that way it's a little easier to say Jimi Hendrix, where I have to separate from who I am, learn the guitar. I learned the guitar. I play guitar now, left-handed. And I was born left-handed. But my mother being old school, Southerner, made me a right-handed person. So Jimi Hendrix woke me up as a left-handed person, right? So, but Eric and Forever is so deep and within me as a father that, it's a much easier assignment than being like Jimi Hendrix. But the payoff is greater in that sense, which it's interesting that this role is a lot of me. You know what I'm saying? And actually, it's the greatest payoff I've had of a character, right? My character. So how proverbial is that? Like I'm telling you, you gotta be yourself and all this and that. But the greatest payoff that I've had in my career so far, I mean, maybe the inception is the biggest part, right? Just getting in there, but on this ride, the biggest payoff has so much to do with just like a performance that has a lot of me in it. So it's just crazy. I have like devout fans who basically they'll never let go of Paid in Full. And Paid in Full is a true story, right? It's important. It's a true story. So no one's calling me Eric. They're gonna call me Ace till the day I die. You know what I'm saying? They're not gonna call me Eric all the time. It's too simple. It's Eric. Hey, yo, Eric. It doesn't. It's not like saying ace. But this is what I believe. Um, I think I've portrayed people like Jimi Hendrix, and that's a dark place in a sense. There's drugs, sex, drugs, rock and roll type thing. And I was Ace. That's killing. That's stealing. That's harming the community in a sense, right? I don't know if those portrayals are gonna take you somewhere else too much. I'm also on Above the Rim, but I'm killing somebody, right? So I'm the bad guy often. But I've done a lot of bio. I've probably done more bio stuff than most people. I've been fathers before. I portray LeBron's coach in Shooting Stars. Wonderful movie about the coach having this phenomenal player and how to give him tutelage. So I've done a lot of different things, but Forever, I believe, has just opened me up to a younger group of people who they're like really invested in the information that comes from Eric or from my father, the fatherliness from me, my character, and even women my age or in my age bracket who have kids, they have the nostalgia of being of having a first crush, and also they're looking at it like, well, I'm a parent and I like how this guy is doing this, right? Or I love it. Like I love how he checked Dawn and made sure his son was straight at the same time type shit. So it's really amazing to have that responsibility. But you couldn't have picked a better person because I don't have to try. I don't have to go do homework to be Eric. You know what I'm saying? The homework, I did it already. I am a father, and I'm a father that was raised by a man. You know what I'm saying? So I'm a different type of father to meet. You know what I'm saying? My mother was there totally and raised us also, 100%. But my father was like the head of the household. And therefore, me and my brother were raised essentially and mostly by a man. And it's different. Most people don't even meet women. You never meet men raised by men. You meet men raised by in a single parent household a lot of the times, and it was a woman. That's a big difference, bro. That's a big difference. You meet a man who has had visitation from a father. That's a lot different, right? My son is raised by a man. He's not raised by a woman, singularly, I should say. Of course, both. But I am the head, bro. I'm the brains of the operation, and not a dictator. Not like I. Please, like I'm. I don't know anything. You know what I'm saying? I like to say I know nothing. You know, so, but I trust myself and I trust the woman I'm with, right? So to me, I let her do her thing. You know what I'm saying? And I do my thing, and it just is what it is. But they're raised by a man essentially. So there you go. There is a 50-50 component, right? I don't want to make it seem like it's lopsided component, but it's apples and oranges, right? It's just apples and oranges. And I think what a man infuses into a boy is fucking important. You understand? What a man infuses into a boy is goddamn important, bro. So important. Like, for instance, fathers have a hard time making like a single parent home that is you're a single parent and that single parent is a mom, right? That's a lot different than a single parent father ran home. And I'm talking about statistically, right? So how many strippers are going to come out of a single parent father home? A lot less. A lot less, right? How many little thugs is going to come out of a single parent when your mother is a single and you 15, your mother can't tell you shit? A lot. So it's necessary. You need the male energy and the female energy in order to have a balanced child at all. And not saying you need to go try to have balance. You can't try to have balance. All you can do is give what you give. They take what they want and they start down their path. And hopefully what's been given to them from both sides, the male and the female in a child's life, they sponge some from mom, they sponge some from dad. You know what I'm saying? And what you see in Forever is my son sponging. They like what my son sponged from me in the first season of Forever, right? But those are very essential and very important things for balance. So I don't want to make it look like it's not an unbalanced thing. You need women. You need the mother to speak into the child what is necessary to teach. Because really, she's doing the first teaching for sure. She's doing actually most of the teaching, but it's her perspective. What the male needs to impart is ideological stuff, right? Ideological shape of your child. And you ain't got to actually be there all the time, like, to do that. But you do have to be smart enough to do it, right? Because, you might be working 12, 13-hour days, or you might have you might be divorced or whatever. You still need to be, in my opinion, able to shape your kids' thinking and be smart enough to figure that out. So you make a kid that don't have to rely on, his friends can't just make him a motherfucking thug. His friend can't turn him into a weed smoker at 12 and shit. You know what I'm saying? His friend ain't his friends got it going on, so now he got it going on. That's too easy, right? But it's not as prevalent in households where there's a man there, so it's a lot less of that. So that's kind of what you're seeing on the show Forever. You're seeing a little bit of balance. If I had to narrow down the top 3 lessons of my dad, my father was old school. Like, if my father was alive now, he'd be 90 something years old. Like, he'd be older than your mom. My father would be 94 if he was alive right now. And what I mean, 3 things my father imparted to me. My dad was really big on us not being simps and wimps and stuff like that. I just had an old school father. Like, I used to draw, right? I remember one time I drew this flower, and it was well drawn. I drew it was beautiful. It's well done. It looked just like I looked at the flower, and I was able to sketch it with my hands. I was probably like 9 years old, and my father saw it and balled that shit up. Balled it up immediately, right? And I was like, I was hurt by it. Literally, I was hurt by it, and he threw it out. Why? Because he thought that was weak shit to be doing, right? He thought that was weak. So I learned from that, though. Like, listen, the lessons come. It's not always somebody saying, well, here I am to give you a lesson. The lesson came from whatever dissertation it was, right? Like I said, they sponge from you whatever they get from you. And from that, I understood more about what my father thought was important. And it wasn't me drawing, like, flowers. Like, he found education to be very important, right? So, I went all the way to grad school. I got into Yale. That was my father. And my mother. But it was certainly my dad. I like talking about the father part because I think it's not discussed enough, right? I don't mean to at all undermine the mother's role, because that is the most prominent role most of the time, even if the mother and father are there, right? In the same household. The mother has the most prominent role all the time, at least up until a certain age, right? But when a kid becomes like a young teen, like you got a boy that's a young teen and you're the father of him, that's an awesome world, and it's so different. Like, you got to hold on to be there when that guy's a teen, because it's going to be cool. But when you have a 1-year-old and 2-year-old, sometimes a male can be a little bit, you feel like, let me let her do a lot, because that's a baby, right? You know what I'm saying? And she's going to be, she's going to be great with that baby. So you can't even separate her from the baby. It's a lot. So let her do everything she wants to do 100% with that baby. And for those first formative years, to be honest with you, up until 7 years old even, that's the first block of formative years, 1 through 7, or, life through 7, right? And what your mother infuses is so important, right? And your dad, but it's your mother. And then it's after those first 7 years that I feel like the father's role could be sort of like put in there, ingested into the kid, and some of the ideas will come. You'll be talking to the woman that's raising your kids, so it's not like she's just doing it alone for 7 years. You still have an opinion about everything, but I feel like you definitely have to allow, like, the mom to, like, do her thing, bro. First of all, she carried a baby. Hello? She carried a baby for 9 months. She birthed a child. You guys made a human. Yeah, you gotta let her do everything, man. It's such a big deal to give birth, right? It's sort of like, I don't know if people look at it that way. It's such a big deal. Like, you actually put another person on earth. You made a being, a human being. That's deep, right? And listen, most people can't take care of a plant for 6 months. The plant will die within 6 months. But with a human, instincts come into part. So you got to take care of this kid. You know the kid got to learn some good stuff and eat some good stuff. That's it at first. You need to learn something good for you, eat something good for you, and watch love happen around you. That's really it. You can be poor and do that. You have to do that, though. You have to give them, like, love. Love is an act verb, like I'm saying. So if you're giving your kid healthy food, it's love. If you're making them drink water and taking the soda away, that's love. That's loving your kid. They're like, you gotta give it to me. Okay, that's not love. Because it's got chemicals in it that hurt the kid. So to me, giving your kid some avocado and not so much pork is love. Period. It's love. Water and not so much soda is love. That's the thing you have to do, in my opinion, to make a healthy-minded kid too. Not Captain Crunch. Captain Crunch ain't gonna do it. I love Captain Crunch though. Growing up, yo, Captain Crunch, stop it. You kidding me, bro? Captain Crunch? I would say the third thing that my father really gave me, and my brother too. My brother, he has all these things, even more so because I'm the youngest. So I just was rebellious. I'm able to talk about my father with 20/20 vision, but I was rebellious. And I'm blessed and lucky, both of those, to just have anything. Because I wasn't like, I'm not trying to front like, it wasn't like I was like, yep, dad told me to do it, so I did it. No. Like when I was growing up, my dad, he had two jobs. He had to go to work in the morning, right? So at night, they'd tell me to wash the dishes. My brother, when they told him, he went in there, washed the dishes, put them on the thing. But I knew my dad was going to leave mad early, right? I knew he wouldn't really pay attention, but to go in there and look at shit. Like, okay, I don't see no dishes in the sink, so it must be good, right? Because they wouldn't open the thing and look like, oh, he put the dishes up. So I used to take the dishes and put them shits in the oven, bro. Go to sleep, man. I used to clean the sink out and put them all in the oven so that I could do it later. So it ain't like I'm telling you, you got to be perfect. You just have to be available. You have to be available, right? You don't have to be, you're not going to be perfect. And I wasn't a kid like my brother. My brother did everything he was told, right when they told. Like when my brother, listen, I went to Resurrection, same school Isaiah Thomas went to. He had a magical basketball team, right? My brother was on the greatest basketball team from that school. He made the team and he was on it. They went and played a game I'll be quick with the story. They played a game against a team, and it was a championship game. They were undefeated. When they showed up to the gym, in the lobby of the gym, there was nobody in the lobby, so the team enters, right? The coaches went to the offices, so nothing but the kids were in the lobby. They discovered a case of grape sodas, right? So they discovered this case of grape soda. So all the teammates went and they stole grape sodas. Everybody cracked open a grape pop, right? My brother didn't. Okay, my brother didn't. All right. So then, when the game started, they were losing. So my brother goes to the coach. He's like, "Listen, you gotta play me, because if you don't play me, we're gonna lose this game." Why? He didn't want to tell why, but the reason why was to him, because they stole the sodas. And guess what the team did? He didn't play my brother, and they lost. And they lost. So my brother's always had high morals, and that's my big brother. So the design is in me, but if it wouldn't have been for my big brother the way he is, and my father the way he is, and my mother the way he is, I put the dishes in the oven. You dig? I did not do what I was told. I did not wash the dishes. I put them shits in the oven, bro. I'm doing this later. I broke out the house when I was a kid. I broke out of the house so I can go hoop at 1 a.m. My homie lived across the street from the park, right? Whenever the park lights was on by mistake, he'd be like, "Yo, what? I mean, you had a landline." "Yo, dog, they got the lights on. I'm coming out." So I open a window, bro, because the doors are like, so I'm opening windows, breaking out the crib in Chicago after midnight, any day of the week, bro. And we ain't doing shit. We ain't the kids who out there smoking weed and doing something. We 10 years old and 11 years old, 12 years. We weren't doing that. We were literally just playing ball. One time I came home in the window, because I'm sneaking out the window and I'm crawling back into that motherfucker too, because I can't use the door. I go back to the window, it's locked. My dad opened the door, because, I'm fucking with the window and shit. He opened the door. I walk inside. Where were you? I told him, man, I just went to the park. He was so mad at me. He was so mad at me, dog. And my father wasn't like the type to punch you or beat you up like that. He'd give you a whooping though. I'm from the era, I got mad whoopings as a kid, because it's like, I'm from that generation where, you got a whooping with a belt, bro. Like, I got whoopings because I was like putting the dishes in the oven. So I got whoopings more than Steve, right? But man, just he crushed me with that look. So those are the lessons I learned. Like, I didn't learn lessons because my dad was so proper giving me my lesson. I was available for the lessons. You know what I'm saying? They came with hard message lines, to be honest with you. The great game of chess. How has chess been in my life? It played a big part of my life. It's as of lately that chess is very meaningful to me. It's been over the last, say, maybe 3 or 4 years. I think, number one, I'm competitive, right? And I don't play sports as much. And I don't compete as an actor. I'm not looking at us. If you and I are doing a scene right now, I wouldn't look at us as competing. And lots of actors do, by the way. For instance, like Terrence Howard, he might compete with you in the scene. You know what I'm saying? And it ain't a bad thing. But if you ain't ready to do a scene with Terrence Howard, you lose. Okay? You lose, because he can be a very dynamic actor. He has a great imagination for what he wants to do. He's kind of like what I said. He knows himself. He's found who he is. He carves it out. It doesn't matter what you think at all. And I like that about him. Listen, there might be some fickle things, or you might see this and that, or have differences in your opinion about Terrence Howard. But the one thing about him as an actor is he will get on a stage or in front of that camera and do exactly what he figured out for himself. And not all actors are that way. Not all actors are that way. I think if chess has to do with my psychology, or how I move around in the acting space, art space, in the world, it probably has a lot to do with how I surmise the situation just in front of me. It probably has more to do with how I might calculate something down the road, right? I don't know if chess is good for me. I don't know if it's done anything particularly good for me in my career. But as a person, I like to be present. Chess makes you present. You have to be present. Somebody's going to make a move right in front of you, and you only have a small amount of time to make your statement as a chess player as you compete. And what I like the most about chess is that it has to do with my competitive spirit. And as I said in the beginning, I don't really compete as an actor. I'm not a competing artist. I will compete as a producing personality, because I want what we do to be very successful, right? But I don't compete as the ingredient of an actor. I won't compete with other actors. So chess doesn't play into what you see me as an actor. That is learned skill that come from, I spoke about the teachers who taught many of us. Those are some skill, and a lot of it is my artistic intuition that all artists have. Like, so chess is something that helps me as a calculative person, because you have to be present. You have to be there, locked in. If I play you in chess right now, you're going to be meditating on the board. It's meditative chess, right? For real chess players. It takes you somewhere. But it's not, like I was saying before, it's not, chess is not any kind of measure of intelligence. It just isn't. My spiritual core is very, very, very important to me. I don't see myself as very religious, although I grew up, you know, in Baptist, as a Christian, I should say, my mother being a Baptist churchgoer. But, once I turned, 5'11", my mother couldn't tell me to go to church no more. Okay? And I was 5'11", I think I was 13. So, no more church. But I was one of those people who would ask questions about church and God and like, tell me more. Because where were the dinosaurs and all this kind of stuff, right? I did that probably so much that I really rely more, like the spirit of a person can be any religion. It's most important to have a grounded spiritual core than it is a particular religion. Okay? Religions can separate and become almost like gangs. I'm Muslim, I'm I'm Christian, I'm Jewish, I'm something else. And they might have conflict because of that. But spirituality is what they all need. All religions, religion without spirituality, what is that? What is religion without spirituality? Like, I tell you, it's very lucrative, is what it is. Religion, it can be very lucrative for the people who put on their religious performances, right? So it's important for people who are religious to gauge how spiritual the personality is that they're listening to. My mother goes to church and has a pastor that's like my brother's age. And I went to the church a couple of times and I thought like, I don't want this dude teaching my mom. Okay? A pastor is a teacher. A parent is a teacher. Those are teaching words. It means teaching. Pastor is a teacher of whatever, whatever religion that it relates to. Christian. A Christian teacher is a pastor. And so he's teaching my mom, and he's trying to reach the spiritual core of others so that they can be guided in the ways of the word, right? And that's very dangerous to me. It's just dangerous. Words make spells happen, right? We actually do spell words. We take symbols. A, B, C, D, E, F are symbols. Love. I can just say Love and something can happen. And I didn't even say the word, but I just spelled it out. It's like you can meet a young lady and, 3 days later be feeling like, I love you. And she may feel pressed to say it back because she had a little inkling of whatever the feeling is. I love you too. And now you're off on a whole nother journey due to like the words. So I gotta approve of who teaches my mom spiritual things. And spirituality is very important to me. Manifestation. How one manifests what they are seeking or even have dreamed about. To me, it really is something in that term, like you manifest destiny. Like, that's what I've done. I was 9 wanting to be an actor. I said I'm not gonna do anything else. And I really didn't. I never had a job. A regular job. I wrote my mother $1 million check like everybody did. I've spent that on my mother. She ain't cash it in, though, I couldn't let her cash it in. I'm like, no, you're not cashing this in. But I've spent that on her over. Me and my brother both, right? So those are destinies. Make the destiny and then manifest it by knowing who you are or finding yourself, as I said earlier, and staying on your path. Because that's where your destiny leads you, right? You're on your path and you know yourself well enough not to be guided by other people. The main thing is to know yourself well enough, to build so much like personal intelligence about yourself that you built so much trust in yourself and actually love yourself. The verb love yourself. So read some stuff, study some stuff, eat something good for you, do some working out, do some push-ups. All that strengthens you as a person and even strengthens, in my opinion, these are all just my opinions, but your spiritual self. The love of oneself is super important. And you're loving yourself if you drink water instead of, of a Coca-Cola or something. You're loving yourself if you got enough sleep. It's a verb. It requires an action. So you love yourself when you actually do something good for yourself. And to me, those are very important things in building a character, a personality, right? Because we all govern who we become. We just might not know it. And if you're not put in the time to know it, then you might not be governing what you became. Some of my biggest concerns as an American, given the direction we're going in, man, it's tough. Man, we have a very, there's not a lot of compassion. Like, I feel like what's waning the most is human compassion, like care and stuff like that. You know, think about it. Nowadays, there aren't any boy bands. There's no bands. There's no groups. There's no people go for self. There aren't even groups. There's no Temptations. There's no New Edition. There's no formation of that. They have it in other countries. In Korea, they still have boy bands and things like. We don't have a Boys to Men. America ain't good enough to have that. We don't have groups even anymore. Like, it's everyone for themselves. People are really money driven here. I think there's billionaire worship. There's a lot of billionaire worship where people unrealistically they see themselves as a future billionaire. And at the moment they're like a thousandaire or maybe a hundredaire. But they may see themselves as a goal. It's easy to make a mental goal. I'm gonna be a billionaire. How? Why actually? Now, if you want to be a billionaire, in my opinion, or some rich person, because you're so philanthropic and you just, man, I know I can flip like for instance, me, I'm from K-Town, Chicago. So if I could have something to do with, putting computers in all the schools in those neighborhoods and just building up because I have the money to do so, that's what's up. And then maybe the universe will give it to me, right? But I don't have a dark enough heart to get $1 billion, in my opinion, unless, like, I don't want $1 billion for myself. I've already amassed over billions of dollars. My career is billions of dollars made as a movie. My movies have made billions of dollars, generated the money. But being a billionaire, if it were to come to me, it's because of how I know I am. Like, I would do something different with the money because I don't care about material things enough for $1 billion to matter. And the billionaire worship really hurts us as a society, in my opinion. America is all about the billionaires or the rich people, and in the black culture, it's even more detrimental because, it separates the have and have-nots in this extreme way. And a lot of people want to show they have something. I got Louis Vuitton on. What are you talking about? I'm rocking this. I'm rocking that. You ain't rocking shit. You ain't rocking shit. Who cares? Your shoes, you walking on the ground with them motherfuckers. What are you talking about? You just stepped in some gum a motherfucker spit out. I got on Louis. I don't give a fuck. Like, I don't care about that stuff. I don't. Now, my daughter, I'm clad with it. Don't get it wrong. I have this stuff because I have a daughter. Right? My daughter, she's big into fashion and stuff like that. So I'd be like, who is this? I had never heard of Balenciaga type shit. Right? That's an old brand. I didn't know. You know what I mean? But I don't really like that. I don't want you to see Prada right here. I don't want you to see, Gucci written on me. I just don't like that. I don't like that kind of stuff. But America, very much like that. Very much like that. Basketball is another reflection of it too, because I'm a basketball lover, and now people are so driven to play because of the money. You're hearing about people making $70 million a year, and now, shit, I got a son. My son gonna play. I'm 6'3". I'm 6'3", right? Man, he gonna outgrow me. I'm about to go meet a volleyball girl so I can make a basketball player. Like, people really, like, are driven in that way, And I'm not saying they shouldn't do it. They should do whatever. But America is a difficult place to assess. And also, the political energy here is very, very sketchy, I would say. Does the concept of democracy work? I'm not sure. I don't think that it is something that doesn't work. It's just all about the people. It's not a system will work based on the people who run it. So, can it work? Yes. Is it working? It's a lot of nefarious behavior around governing anything in America, right? For instance, Food and Drug Administration allows red 5, yellow 5, red 40, and all these blue 1 lake and all these other cancer-making products in the food that they took out of the makeup even. They used to make women's lipstick. It's red 40. It's literally red 40. You got the shit on your face that they. So I'm telling my daughter, that's the thing. I have a daughter, right? Ah, man, you gotta find clean makeup, yo. If you're gonna wear that shit at all, you gotta find clean makeup. Cause you're wondering why you get headaches all the time. Well, you got a whole bunch of shit on your head, and a bunch of shit on your face, and all of it's synthetic, and all of it gets into your bloodstream. So accept that. Don't like it, but flip that shit. I don't give a fuck if you don't like it. Flip it. Get, a blueberry makes that color. What the fuck? Okay? Cranberry makes the color. Pomegranate makes the color. In India, they actually use like flowers and things to make color. When you see the beautiful garments, the color ain't red 40. So, but I'm back on the government actually allowing that into the food supply. I think it was in the 70s that they removed it from some of the makeup, right? But to allow it to be in the chewing gum, but take it out of the lipstick is crazy, bro. That's just, I don't know, whatever. Like, it's just crazy. Does the Republican and Democratic systemics that we have now, because it's all we have, like, does it really work? Like, again, that's the same sort of thing. The answer is yes and no, because can it work? Yes. Ideologically, yes. Is it working? I don't think so necessarily, because, excuse me, you're always going to have the have and have nots of a situation. Like, there's always going to be sort of like, when you, like, if you remember being in grade school and lining up in the gym and having to run across the gym floor, well, the whole line ain't running at the same. Like, we're not equal running across. No one does that. There's going to be people in the back. So that's life. So the Democratic Party will cater to their donors. The Republican Party will cater to their monetary donors. Period. Not us. Because the dichotomy is enriched with people in the back, people in the middle, people in the front, and these people in the back need this, and these people, and they ain't in the business of figuring things out, in my opinion, right? More so maybe in the past, a lot less now, because the generation of money is so prevalent in American politics. Now, if the money could get out of the politics, just to answer your question more succinctly, when the money does not predicate the politics, then that's a working democratic system, right? When the money is not dictating what will happen, the policies. So I was asked the question, are we really free in America? I mean, that's another yes and no answer, man. I hate to be so, I guess I'm being esoteric in my answers, but I don't mean to be, but I'm being truthful in what I believe is it's yes and no. We are free, but we're not free. We're less free, in my opinion, because every day people, like, there's a strangle on how much you can talk about, what you can say, and not be canceled or ruined or something, this and that. So an opinion, a singular opinion, could ruin your life. And it's never really been so much like that. You can make a singular statement and it can take the money out of your bank, which is the food off the table, and ruin your life. It'll turn your lights off, something you can say. And it never really was that much like that. Now it is, though. So we have less freedom. But as an individual in this country, you have probably the most freedom that people have in the world, in a sense, because you can get up, go get in your car, and be a sovereign person if you want. You could decide tomorrow, man, I'm about to move over here, put a stake in this land. I don't care what nobody say, and or I can live in a tiny home somewhere where all I got is Wi-Fi and everything and love around me. So you do have freedom. Now, we are urbanized people. We have less freedom. Believe it or not, we think we have more because it's a 24-hour city, but we have less freedom because there's a greater grasp on the way we think about life. Like, I'm a New Yorker, you know what I'm saying? That got you. That's a grasp, right? I'm from Chicago. I'm like that. That's how we all are, right? Those, that stuff. So, we're free, in my opinion, but a lot less free because you don't have as much freedom to speak. And that's odd because there are all these platforms to talk on. There's more platforms to talk on and less freedom to talk. So, man, what a conundrum that's a tough thing right there, bro. That's a double-edged sword right there. It really is. Because you don't want to be ruined. You don't want to be ruined. You know what I'm saying? Because you said something, one statement. Yeah, and it can be a truthful statement. It doesn't really matter if it's true or not. So that's dangerous and tough, man. That makes America a tough place to, because freedom of speech, is that not amendment? That's the First Amendment, yeah. So it's like limited freedom of speech. The caveat: limited freedom of speech. So you still have the freedom to say it, but what you gonna do about the repercussions of it? Like so, it's a yes or no answer. Sorry. When I hear about books being taken out because of the content of it and historically true and prevalent things, wow, what a dangerous and slippery slope that is. I do believe that America is it's in a kind of a bad place in my opinion, you know. But you know, like I said, the roller coaster goes down. So maybe we're either on that up part where it's scary as hell, or that down part where it's scary. But we're not on that little even part right there where you're a little bit less scared, like you know. And we're not in the movement where we're grooving with it, like you know what I'm saying. So we're either on that up scary part or that down. Hopefully, it's the down part because that gives us some momentum to go somewhere else. Okay, I don't want us to be in the beginning of, you know, this dark stuff, this dark space where hopefully we're not in the beginning of this dark kind of, what I perceive as a dark kind of space. Like, I hope we're over that part and we're going into being able to like sort of sit in for the ride type thing, right? Whew, man, America. Wow. Crazy place, bro. What's happening right now is, in my opinion, is some of the craziest times to be alive because there's so much access to each other through social media, and you think you know somebody, but you really don't. And people are more controlled by the visual elements that they get on their phones, and you know, you're swiping, you know what I'm saying, reading everything and just zoning out, and before you know it, you've been lost for 3 or 4 hours on some topic you really don't give a shit about, right? But you found entertaining. And so it's very dangerous times that we live in right now, bro. I feel like social media is a giant, and the people are David. Okay, I mean, so social media is Goliath winning. Okay, this is not David. We don't have a slingshot and a rock. The people don't have a weapon to fight against the giant in the room. But social media is a big deal. People get their life from social media now. Things take over us, right? Internet itself has really taken over. Like, you got to buy your things off the computer. You know what I'm saying? And in my opinion, social media has given politicians a voice to reach their, you know, their demographic and influence the way they think. So, for instance, I'll take like Fox television versus, say, like, I don't know, CNN or MSNBC. Those who look at CNN believe what they say. Those who look at Fox believe what they say, and it's really simple. And then part of that is because, like, people are quite simple. Like, the average American does not read even a book a year, which means the average American does not read. If you don't read the book, the whole book, you didn't read it. So we don't read and we don't ingest information and process the same way anymore. And yet we're in closer proximity to each other. And yet we know I know your fucking, how many outfits you got because I looked at your page. I know how many pairs of shoes you got. I don't even know you. And I know what you and your girlfriend like to do. I know how you feel about women or whatever. Too much information imparted from stranger to stranger. And I just don't like it. So I mean, I have a pretty big following on social media, but I don't really. I look at it as a place to put some jokes and stuff like that. Like, I put funny things online. I literally post cats and dogs and stuff like that. Like, you know, I am super excited for these next endeavors as we build agency together. You know, the Harris Brother Production, uh, ATIP Labs 24/7, um, coming together like Voltron, coming together like this Jedi Council, and really stepping into these different spaces of brands, branding, music, and what we provide as production for television and film. And that really matters that we have some success so we can be philanthropic, so we can build up an area like K-Town where I'm from. And so we can put money where I believe it should be in philanthropy. So, yeah, I'm terribly excited for us to do it. It's like the sky's the limit, all the things we can do with brands and working with various large brands and putting our content in the world. So I'm very, very excited about it, man. Michael K. Williams, super special guy, man. Great guy. Um, he had a very challenged life. He was homeless as a kid. Um, I think his mom may still be alive. I'm not sure. If so, she's 100, literally 100 years old, because she was alive when he passed away. Mike had a very difficult road. He used to be on top of the buildings, sleeping on top of buildings in New York as a kid, sleeping in the subway as a kid, bro. Tough, tough life. He caught that slash across his face at a party, and it was for nothing. You know what I'm saying? And at first, that slash left. He's a dark-skinned brother, darker than me. Mike was dark-skinned, dark skin, and that slash was white because the melanin has to basically reconfigure, and it requires light and time. So Mike used to have down the center of his face a white line, like, and it keloided and all that, and he had a white, then it was pink, then then it became, and he used to be disfigured in his opinion. Mike used to wear a turtleneck that covered his face all the time. He used to have this big turtleneck, this big oversized turtleneck up to here, up to here. Um, Oddly enough, that shit made his career. You see what I mean? He didn't have to get rid of it. And sometimes you don't see it, but guess what? Go look at everything he's done. It's there. So this guy is a great actor, a super famous actor with a cut that's all the way down his entire face. Like, so that's a lesson for somebody. You know what I'm saying? The lessons just come, but Mike was just, uh, everybody that knew Mike or know of Mike, they had a lot of love for Mike, man. A lot of love for Mike. He's just a good-hearted person, but he'd had a challenged life, a traumatized, I would say, upbringing. So he was facing those things, and he died by accident, right? But he was seeking like those substances that probably was self-medicating, um, and so that had something to do with how he died by accident. And but man, he was right at like like he was in a high point in his life, and that was such a tough thing. I also knew Malcolm-Jamal Warner, man. I've known all of these guys in some way, shape, or form. Yeah, tough to see it happen to young people, to die so soon like that. It's a very tough thing. Malcolm was easy to talk to, nice guy. He's kind of like what you see. You know, there's no, um, you know who he is by what you see. He's just a good dude, and you can tell. But you might not be able to tell I'm a good dude. You know what I'm saying? So we need interviews so you can expose me as a good dude. But Malcolm, he's a good dude, and so we talked about music. He's a bass player. He's a Grammy award-winning musician, by the way. So he had higher accolades, if you want to, I guess it might be superficial trophies and stuff, but technically he had higher accolades in music. I'm sure the Cosby Show got Emmys. I'm not sure if he got individual Emmy. Maybe so. Maybe he's got awards I don't know about. But I'm sure his coveted Grammy Award as a musician was very important for him. And as a spoken word artist. Those things were very, 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 very important. and he held on to those things you know that he had a passion for, and he kept them in his life. And I pushed that. Like stuff like I said before, things you did as a child before you were an adult that you love to do that shit. Like if you stop doing it, you're aging yourself, and you're separating yourself from your personal love of self. Like I love to play basketball, right? And cats who love to play, love to play football, American football, and you love to play soccer or European football. If you love that and you stop doing it, that part of you will atrophy, or dry up, so to speak. And before you know it, you know, you'll have aged yourself. Yeah, and now you just do adult shit. I drink, you drink, you smoke, you have sex, you do whatever is just adult like, right? I'm going to a nightclub. I'm gonna go meet these girls at this, all that kind of shit. But when you were like before that, think about all that's the most fun you had, literally, maybe, right? You had fun riding a bike and learn how to pop a wheelie for 3 cars. I get 3 cars, bro. How many you do? I did more than you. You had fun like shooting the shit with your friends and doing nothing, like doing nothing, right? You really got to find that. You really got to find yourself being that way. Back to the things you found when you were a kid or when you were like, before adulthood. Shit you did. You used to draw a lot. All right, now you working. You got 40-hour weeks. You don't draw no more. All right, I stopped, but it's still in me. But you let a decade go by. So you don't draw anymore, bro. So don't talk about that. You don't do that. Barring an injury, I would still be playing basketball. I just don't play. I shoot around, but I don't play basketball like I used to or any sport because I tore my Achilles twice playing basketball, you know. But I make music. I will never stop making music. I don't care if motherfuckers like it. You can like it or not. I don't give a shit. It's part of my youth, my pre-adult shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? The adventurous person that was a kid is still in me to go set off on some adventures. And to me, it's what we're doing too, ATIV, 24/7. We're setting off on these adventures together that can be very lucrative. So we meditate on them because we know what the purposes are. And it's monetary as well, you know what I'm saying? Because there's something to monetize there, but it's fun to do it at the same time. So I love what we're doing in general. Yeah, and there's a lot of there are a lot of actors that I know who do different things. Like Idris is people know now, but he's a world-renowned DJ as well, who makes a lot of music. He made Stress for the new Slick Rick. He executively produced some of the tracks on the new Slick Rick album, which is dope as hell. There's a visual to it, a whole movie to it that Idris Elba had a lot to do with. And he and I have actually done songs together during The Wire. Mahershala is also a producer, and he's a lot like me that, basketball, production, and hip-hop and all those kind of things, acting. And he's, in the same sort of vein as Idris and myself and others that are like that. I think he's produced for Jabaz Palaces. I'm not sure about that. I believe he certainly has produced professionally for other people. And, I set out the question to him, so let's work together on some stuff. So you might see something, you might not. If not, I'll always make my own stuff. I really love like making music. Also, it doesn't have to be a physical thing you hold on, in my opinion, that you hold on to, like stuff you dreamed of doing. You might have dreamed of being an astronaut or something, or how do you find that energy of that dream, the drive that dream gave you, or the dreams that dream gave you? Oh, now I see myself this way. Like that's important. Once you let go of all those things, then you're all you can do is age. All you can do is kind of age, right? But if the fountain of youth, in my opinion, is staying like at least fastened in some way to the things in your youth. You know what I'm saying? Before it was like girls, dun, 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 dun. All I really want is to do the laundry and in the in the bedroom, da da. Or I'm going out tonight, or all of that stuff, smoking and drinking and all that adult stuff, right? So I'm hosting a dinner with Prince, my boy Michael K. Williams, and my younger self. What will we be talking about? I had an opportunity to actually talk to Prince. Prince actually imparted things into my ideology that I actually use, and I was close friends with Michael K. Um, Prince had a lot to do with how I think of aging, the aging process. So maybe we'd be talking about something along those lines. Maybe I'll have more questions to ask. But seeing as they're both resting in peace, if I had to ask questions, I might ask what it was like, in the afterlife or something. I mean, you know, um, the things that Prince sort of imparted toward me, even personally, were to do with aging, and he had this notion of how the aging process is, well, the fictional aspect of aging, like going around the sun one time, and that being the premise of aging is not what Prince believed. So he believed in not counting that, not counting your birthday. Because if you count your birthday and you say to yourself, I'm 50, then you just play into that. And I want to be one of those people who, when I'm elderly, I got to do the math to figure out my age. And you meet those people every so often. And I'm turning into one of them because I really don't know my age until my birthday happens and someone says it to me. Someone has to say my age to me for me to do it. So I love that about it because you can control the aging process a little bit that way. It's almost like you're playing a trick on your own mind. But yeah, I met Prince at a party of his DJ Rashida, and I knew a person that was dating her. I was invited to the party. I went to the party, and that's how I initially met Prince. I am Wood Harris, and I am a culture builder.